Salam to Muslims and greetings to non-Muslims. Now, the reason why it is wrong to depict Muhammad is, first of all, we have to understand that in Islam it is outrageous to depict Muhammad. It is unlawful to depict not only Muhammad but other prophets and messengers of Allah. It is prohibited and unlawful to depict them. Now, the heckler might say, why is it that under other religious groups this isn't the case? Well, that is not an excuse somehow to say that the Muslims are violent in condemning the depiction of Muhammad. The other religious groups, they have their own belief, and under Islamic Sharia we have our own belief. It is unlawful under the Islamic Sharia to depict Muhammad. Well, although you cannot find in Quran any verse that condemns such depiction of Muhammad, there is no any explicit verse or any explicit statement in the Quran that condemn the depiction of Muhammad. But there are relevant verses. Relevant verses talk about the condemnation of the depiction of Muhammad. And in other hadiths, there are numerous hadiths that condemn such acts. Now, Muslims are not against the freedom of speech or the freedom of the press. We Muslims, we like the freedom of speech and freedom of the press. We adore it, we condone it. What we dislike is the excessive application of the freedom of speech to some extent in violating other people's rights. Just because you are entitled of your own freedom of speech doesn't guarantee you the permission to go beyond your freedom of speech. It doesn't give you the permission to violate my rights of religion or my rights of speech or my right of other issues. In every society, in every democratic society, there are limits to the rights, whether it is freedom of speech or freedom of the press or freedom to anything. There are limits. You cannot cross your limit. I don't have any right to reduce your mother to a whore or to depict her into an act. This is beyond my right of speech or my right of the press. You see, this is what the Muslims are always saying, that be careful about your right. Do not exceed the limit of your right. And that is in agreement with the international human rights law, that in any democratic society, in every democratic society, there must be a proper balance between the freedom of speech or the freedom of the press and civic responsibility. They work hand in hand. So the press doesn't have any right to reduce my Prophet Muhammad, my precious noble messenger of Allah, the Prophet of Islam. They don't have any right to reduce him into some cartoon, into some ridicule cartoon or some drawings depicting him as having a turban and having a bomb under his turban, or depicting him into a teddy bear or something. You don't have that right. You are not responsible enough. In fact, you don't even know your responsibility as a citizen if you are depicting my prophet as such. This is beyond the limit of your rights. That is all what we are saying. And the media, of course, is against the Islam, is against the Muslims. Whenever the Muslims, protest or propagate that their Islam is under attack, the media will immediately blow it out of proportion advertising it to the world that the Muslims are violent, they are aggressive, they are against the freedom of speech, and so on and so on. This is not what we meant. We simply say, be careful of your rights. I am entitled to my right just as you are entitled to your right. Let us be responsible enough. Let us know the difference between attacks and the rights. Everybody is entitled to the freedom of speech and freedom of the press, but we shouldn't exceed our limits. I think we need to understand the frame of our limit of our rights, so that we shouldn't cross the boundaries of our rights. Thank you so much.